Good morning. Happy Moon Day, Monday, November 8th. The moon is in Capricorn today, and that's really going to be our big focus of the astrology forecast. But before we get to where we're going, let's talk about the weekend. How is everybody feeling after this weekend? It was kind of an intense emotional weekend coming off of the new moon in Scorpio, although the moon did move into Sagittarius, so it did bring some fun, optimistic vibes as well. But I kind of want to talk about two major events that happened over the weekend before we get into the astrology forecast, just to talk about the power that astrology can have and just kind of how the energy is related to astrology. So on Thursday, okay, so let's start here. The new moon in Scorpio, we've talked a lot about this in our past live streams, but Scorpio brings this intense energy. It can bring secrets to life. It's mysterious. It can unearth a lot of our darkness or what's rooted deep within. And so a good example of this is on Thursday, information came out. The owner of the Phoenix Suns had all of, very much cancel culture, Me Too movement, had all of this information come to light about emails he sent or communications he had that might have been inappropriate. And it just so happens that Robert Sarver, the owner of the Phoenix Suns, is a Scorpio. So this new moon in Scorpio really unearthed a lot of things that were buried deep within, some mysteries for him. Or we can talk about really the biggest event that happened over the weekend. People still reeling from it, really shocking, was the Astroworld Festival in Houston. Travis Scott's festival he put on. It was almost to simulate this cover art or this virtual world that he created. He wanted to create it here in the 3D. So he did it in Houston, and it got out of control. And Scorpio also rules control and power. When you look into Travis Scott's chart, his birth chart as well, you can see that he's a Taurus sun, but he has a Scorpio moon. So he was born on a Scorpio full moon. And so the Scorpio new moon really was activating for him, very transformative. It remains to be seen what light that transformation will be in, but it doesn't look like it's going to be a good turn of events for Travis Scott. But we just, looking at the chart for Friday, I just kind of want to bring it up because I think it's really interesting to just look at the energy of that moment when things got out of control. And if you don't know the full story, I encourage you to look up the details on your own because I don't have all the details in front of me. But just from what I've learned, from what I've looked into, this concert started. It was really hyped up. I guess even a half hour before Travis Scott came on stage, there was a countdown and people started surging towards the stage. It seems like people were packing in really tightly even before the concert started, and 8 people lost their lives at this concert because the crowd became so intense, so compressed, that people literally started losing their breath and passing out. I'm seeing people come on making comments. Cassie says, while the Scorpio moon seems to be activating some dark energy, I'm feeling a lot of power. What's the positive side to a Scorpio moon? So we'll talk about that in a second as well, because I do like to talk about the positives and the negatives of each transit. As with everything, there's a darkness and a light to each transit. There's a darkness and a light to each moon and each energy. So, it wasn't all negative, right, with this Scorpio moon. And Cassie, the moon's in Capricorn now, and I know you are a double Capricorn, so that could be why you're feeling like stepping more into your personal power. But the Scorpio moon can create a lot of transformation and change in a positive way too. It can help us lean into our own darkness, accept ourselves, acknowledge ourselves. So let me bring this up and show you what we're looking at here. Oh. Yeah, I'm trying to get the layout so it will look good. So bear with me. Again, we're still in beta, you guys. We're still testing everything out, getting ready for our launch of The Spiritual Journalist on Thursday morning at 11:11 Pacific time. So this is a good way for me to get comfortable using the live stream format. I really appreciate everybody who's been with me here since day one. You guys are the best. And I would love to hear your feedback in the comments or on Instagram. You can connect with me. Let me know how you're enjoying the stream. Courtney, thank you so much for joining us here live. Super appreciate you getting up early to watch. Okay, so let's go back to Astroworld and what happened over the weekend. And Courtney, if you're watching, I would love your input on this as well. I know you are super knowledgeable about astrology as well as current affairs. So if you have some insight on the Scorpio new moon's energy and how that might have impacted, or just the astrological energy in general and how that might have impacted Astroworld, I am all ears. So here's a look at the energy right around the time when the concert got out of hand. So you can see the moon was at 24 degrees Scorpio, forming a sextile to Pluto. Pluto rules Scorpio. Pluto rules our transformative energy. So this intense transformative energy, Pluto and Capricorn, which on a big scale is really toppling structures of power and control, was sort of having the Scorpio moon's back, complementing the Scorpio moon, enhancing its energy a little bit. So this was a really transformative moment. And of course, especially activating because Travis Scott has a Scorpio moon. So I don't know exactly where his Scorpio moon is in his chart, if this was maybe his lunar return or, but we know that this was an activating day. Something else I noticed in watching a lot of the videos from the Astroworld Festival that a lot of the concert goers posted in the hours, days following this tragedy was how much masculine energy was at this concert. And, if you haven't seen the documentary Woodstock 1999 or Woodstock 99, I believe it's on Netflix or Hulu or some streaming service, but it's essentially goes over this huge festival planned in 1999 called Woodstock 99 and how it got out of control. And in looking at the video from this weekend's Astroworld Festival, you could almost sense a similar energy. And as I mentioned, it was a very masculine energy. Even when you're hearing people chanting at the beginning of the concert, it's almost like you're only hearing men's voices. Now, I'm not saying there were no women at this concert. Of course, there were thousands upon thousands of people there. Of course, there were women there. But Travis Scott, I really feel, tends to cater to a more male audience. And so anyway, I just sensed this intense masculine energy, which is interesting because at the moment of this upheaval, of this really intense darkness, the moon is forming this sextile to Pluto and Capricorn. Pluto and Capricorn is destroying patriarchal structures. Capricorn is the sign of masculinity, is kind of known as the father of the zodiac. So with Pluto and Capricorn, we've seen over the past couple of years a lot of structures crumbling, rebuilding, a lot of transformation when it comes to structures, specifically male structures. So I just thought that was interesting to point out that the moon was really being activated by Pluto in this masculine sign. And then we saw this huge upheaval over the course of really an hour in this concert where people were actually telling Travis Scott to stop the music and he kept going. Really interesting because he has this Taurus sun, so he's very stubborn, he's very persistent, he is going to stick to his guns, and like I said, he has a Scorpio moon, likely born near or around a Scorpio full moon. And this Scorpio new moon really activated his chart. So just an example of how astrology kind of played into current events. We had this transformative energy even building up to the new moon. We had the moon conjunct Mars, I believe, the day before or the morning of the new moon. We had it obviously conjunct the sun. So the new moon was really getting activated by a lot of intense masculine, fiery planets, fiery placements, and things got out of hand. Is it because of the astrology of the day? No, of course, there are so many other factors at hand. It's, as somebody who deeply loves astrology, I always am looking for correlations or maybe relations between events and astrology, looking at people's charts to see what might have been activated. And one thing is for sure, this Scorpio new moon is really going to be transformative for Travis Scott, someone who has a lot of Scorpio energy in his chart. Courtney says, I was legitimately down the Astroworld hole yesterday. Seriously, if you are at all interested, there's so much content to consume about this, and not even just news organizations talking about it. It's a big story this morning because it happened Friday night, but you can find on social media a lot of firsthand accounts of people at the concert, of videos at the concert, of people explaining their experience. When I say this is going to be transformative for Travis Scott, it could be very destructive for Travis Scott. And that is that Scorpio moon energy forming a sextile to Pluto has this very destructive energy as well. Venus just went into Capricorn, which has a lot of masculine energy when it comes to our desires too, and just a lot of intensity in general. The moon was forming this last connection to Pluto before going void for the rest of the night, which is interesting because it seems like, once the moon went void, not a lot of action was taken to help the people that were literally out of breath and dying. So just really interesting to look at that, the energy of that moment, very disruptive, tumultuous energy, and see what happened. But now that we've talked enough about Astroworld, about the power this Scorpio new moon had, the transformation it had, maybe you felt it too. Comment on YouTube or Facebook if you had a big transformation or a big shift after the Scorpio new moon. And I'm also curious to hear how your weekend went, because the moon moved into Sagittarius this weekend. So you might have had a really fun or optimistic weekend, even after those intense moments from the Scorpio new moon. Cassie says Pluto is in 14 degrees Scorpio. So this Scorpio new moon activated your Pluto as well, actually. And this could have been a transformative moment for you, Cassie. But now that the moon is in Capricorn today, we're ready to get down to business. And this is going to be really good for Cassie, I know, because she has a ton of Capricorn energy in her chart. For those of you who've been following me for a long time, I'm talking about Cassie Wilson, my favorite meteorologist I used to work with over at News 4 in Reno. Now she works in Wichita, Kansas, and she's a great blend of spirituality and yoga, but also science and climate change. And I'm sure if she's open for it, we'll have her on the show at some point to talk about the climate, because she has such great insight. But this is really cool to be able to talk about people's charts, talk about the energy, talk specifically about how it's activating you. And just to give you a little insight on how tracking the transits can help you claim your own personal power when you know which part of your chart, which planets in your chart are being activated by these transits. So if you're watching and you're thinking, okay, that's the energy of the day, but how does it affect me? Look into your chart and just start to pull it up while you're watching these forecasts. And if you're noticing, okay, the moon is right around the same point as my moon, well, you know your lunar return is coming, or the same goes for Mars, or you can start to understand the different energies and how they're playing off of the energy within you. So that is a look at the energy right when Astroworld happened. We talked about the energy over the weekend, but let's look forward and talk about the energy today. The Sagittarius moon over the weekend might have made us a little more outgoing or optimistic, put us in a party mode. But last night, the moon moved into Capricorn. Actually, I believe around 5 or 6 p.m. last night. So we might have been in preparation mode for the week ahead, or gotten this kind of drive to be prepared. This is also a waxing crescent moon, which is the time that we do plan and prepare, which goes right in line with that Capricorn energy. Capricorn needs to have a plan, loves to have a plan, and loves to stick to it. So we're talking about long-term plans, which means you might have been on Sunday night looking to the week ahead and trying to be prepared for the week ahead, or even the month ahead, even the coming months ahead, as we look towards the end of 2021 already, which is just so crazy. Cassie, I love all of your comments. This is wonderful. I love this live chat we're having this morning. So The moon is in Capricorn right now. It's a waxing crescent moon. We have that preparative energy. We're ready. We're feeling motivated to tackle our goals. We have achievement on the mind, and achieving, because we're talking about the moon here, is going to make us feel good. It's important to note also, we really don't have any major planetary connections today. So I'm going to talk a lot about what the moon is doing throughout the day, and you should be able to really tune into your own energy because the moon rules our emotions. We are made of 70% water, give or take, and the moon rules our tides on Earth. It can literally change the movement of water on Earth, which is why it's connected to our emotions and to our intuition. It has the power to make those internal shifts. You can almost think of it like moving the water, moving the emotions within us, because water, the element of water, rules our emotions. So overnight, the moon formed a sextile to Mars, a supportive angle to Mars. And you might have stayed up late last night and had this kind of burst of energy or excitement for the week ahead, or you might have woken up early this morning with that same kind of excitement, motivation, drive, because Mars rules our instinct, it rules our drive, it rules our passion. The moon in Capricorn is all about achievement, all about climbing. When the two have this supportive angle, have each other's backs, we are ready to tackle on the week ahead, to take on challenges. We are in go mode. But that actually happened overnight. So it could have manifested as a hard time sleeping. I know a lot of people, we literally had a physical shift this weekend with daylight saving time ending. So that could have been your own personal transformation this weekend. It could literally just look like a shift in your schedule, which has a ripple effect, right? Changing that 1 hour, you don't realize it until you do it. But right now the sun is up as I'm streaming, and it wasn't on Friday. So we had a change in our physical environment just because of the time change. We had a change in our schedule, and now it's time to prepare for the next phase, for the next couple months. Early this morning, about 5 a.m., the moon formed a semi-sextile to Saturn. Now, I don't normally talk about these angles because they're pretty minor aspects, but I do think it's interesting because Saturn rules Capricorn. We're really in that Saturn energy with the moon in Capricorn, but we might have woken up really eager to take on the day ahead or learn how to get what we want. When a planet is one sign ahead of another body, it almost acts like a teacher to that body. So the moon is almost being a student to Saturn right now. It's ready to lean into that Saturn energy, to make plans, to achieve. But it also, this angle reminds us we might not have all the information we need yet to succeed. So if you woke up ready to hit the ground running, if you woke up feeling like you want to jump into action right away, Saturn can remind us to slow down a little bit. Young sensei, right? It's our teacher right now. It can remind us, okay, just make sure you have all the information, make sure you have all the resources you need before you keep moving forward, excuse me. So right about now, actually, the moon is forming a sextile to Chiron. I'll show you what this looks like. So the moon is being supported by the wounded healer. Chiron is this icy outer planet or body, I should say, in the solar system. And it's known as the wounded healer because of stories in astrology, mythology about Chiron, but essentially its power comes from learning from our own trauma and our own wounds in order to be our best selves and be able to heal other people. Once we heal ourselves, we can heal others. But first, we have to confront our own past and confront our own trauma. And so Chiron is the body that reminds us to do that. And you can see on our screen here that Chiron is at 9 degrees Aries and the moon is at 9 degrees in Capricorn. These signs, actually, I should say they're forming a square to one another. This is not a sextile, this is a square. So they're really activating and challenging each other, which could bring some challenges this morning. And these challenges likely will be internal. It could be limiting beliefs coming up. It could be past experiences jading our minds in the present moment. And so make sure that you're not living in the past. Capricorn is definitely all about the past, all about our ancestors, all about past experiences. And when it forms this challenging angle to Chiron, which can also have us in our past traumas or in our deepest wounds, it can kind of cloud our emotions or make us act out of emotions that might not actually represent where we're at in the here and now or what's best for us in the here or now. So Chiron forming this square to the moon might bring some emotional challenges today, but that's all right. That's all right. We know the energy. We can handle it if challenges come up. Honestly, sometimes it's nice to just be like, you know what? This is what the universe is bringing today. This is the energy it's bringing to try to teach us a lesson. Or this can also be a chance to lean into your personal power after this Scorpio new moon. Chiron can be here to remind us that despite our deepest wounds, despite our deepest pains, we still have that power to heal others within us. And to keep that in mind as we're making plans for the day or the week ahead, as we're achieving our goals. Our past experiences are really valuable, even if they were negative experiences. As long as we can learn from them and use them to better our actions in the future, this can be really helpful. So this is that shadow and light of each transit that we were talking about. The shadow of the moon forming a square to Chiron is that it could bring challenges emotionally, especially with a Capricorn moon. The Capricorn moon can make us feel almost emotionally distant or disconnected. It is at a weak position, the moon in Capricorn, because the moon is ruled by its opposite sign, Cancer. So when the moon is in Capricorn, we're not quite as in tune with our intuition. We like things to be practical. We like to have a reason for our feelings. And as we know, emotions don't always have a reason, or the reason isn't always so easy to pinpoint when we're emotionally activated. So this activating energy between the wounded healer Chiron and the moon in Capricorn could bring challenges, could bring up some old trauma, but it could also help us step into our power by helping us reflect on the past, reflect on our past experiences and what we learned from them. By about 1 o'clock Pacific time this afternoon, the moon forms a trine to Uranus. So you can see that here. We'll move forward a couple hours to about 1 p.m. All right, so this is at 1:51, close enough. The moon is at 12 degrees in Capricorn, and it's forming this trine to Uranus in Taurus. So if you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, you should be able to see this on your screen. If you're watching on Instagram, you can go pop over there to see what the current chart looks like. The moon forming this trine to Uranus means that changes or innovation can flow more easily. This is especially helpful with a Capricorn moon. And both of these planets are in earth signs. Earth signs tend to be a little bit more slow moving, a little bit more grounded, and I would say a little stubborn, right? They're a little set in their ways. You can think of earth energy kind of like a rock or the earth. It doesn't move easily like air or water or fire. It's pretty set in its place. And so with these two planets, both in earth signs, both forming a trine to one another, it can help us think innovatively and lean into change when it comes to climbing towards our goals. Or, you know, Capricorns don't love a change of plan. As I just mentioned, they like their plan. They like to stick to it. They like a schedule, and they like slow and steady movement. Whereas Uranus is the planet of transformation. It's the change maker. But these planets are working harmoniously together. So this should be a positive transit this afternoon with the moon harmonizing with Uranus. It can help us think about the future, not just as far as planning and what we want out of life and our own ambitions and our own achievement. But Uranus can also think about the future of the collective, the future of humanity. It can help us emotionally flow through anything unexpected with the moon in Capricorn, because Uranus can bring some mood changes, but these should be more positive and flow more easily than if this was at a more harsh angle. So even if things don't go according to plan this afternoon with the moon trine Uranus, it should be to your benefit. It should bring harmony or flow to your day, and it should help you think about ways to move forward in the future that will be not only the best for you, but the best for everybody. So lean into any changes that arise this afternoon. Don't necessarily look at them like obstacles. You can look at them like opportunities or changes to flow in the right direction. By this evening, the moon forms a sextile to the sun, another supportive angle to the sun, and that's by 8 o'clock tonight Pacific time. So this is a great transit because it can make us feel more confident. The sun is our ego, our outer confidence, our personality. The moon is our internal self, our emotions. And when the two form a supportive angle to each other, we feel good about who we are. We feel good about sharing our internal selves externally. Really, it's kind of like the moon and the sun have each other's back. So our emotions and our personality have each other's backs under this transit. So if you have any plans on Monday night, you should feel really confident stepping into them. And if you don't, you should just feel good, hopefully. Of course, this depends on where Capricorn is in your chart, what area of your chart the moon and the sun are activating. With the sun in Scorpio, it can really remind us of our personal power. So this confident energy can really help us step into our personal power with the moon forming a sextile to the sun late tonight on the West Coast, and even later tonight on the East Coast or wherever you're watching. And if you are watching on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, you can look to the bottom of your screen. That's called a ticker, the words moving across, and that will show you what transits are coming up in which order they're coming up in, and about what time Pacific time that they'll be making exact aspects. All right, we're having more comments coming in. Courtney says, it was so nice to have the break free of Sagittarius. I was way less sassy. Yeah, the energy should have felt a little bit lighter over the weekend with the moon in Sagittarius, a little bit more fun, a little bit more free. Now that the moon is in Capricorn for our Monday, we are ready to get down to work. We're ready to make a plan. We're ready to climb. We're ready to achieve. We're thinking long term. We're thinking about our wealth. We're thinking about the structures we need to form to get to where we want to go. My partner just commented saying the dogs are losing their mind outside of the office, so that's always fun. They are clearly feeling ready for the week ahead. They are getting that burst of energy from Mars overnight. Let me know how you're feeling in the comments. I love to see how the energy is affecting you. So now that we've talked about the Capricorn moon in detail, really the only thing going on, let's just kind of talk about the week ahead so you can be prepared, because that's what this Capricorn moon energy is all about. Preparation. How can we be prepared? And sometimes having a plan can help make us feel a little bit more emotionally stable, especially with a Capricorn moon. So today, really sit with the Capricorn moon and ponder what success means to you. What is your definition of success? What does it feel like to achieve something? And then try to embody that emotion, that feeling of success. That will help you make strides towards your goals even faster, climb even faster, as the sign of the goat loves to do. We can just kind of enjoy this energy of preparation, of making plans for our Monday, but by Tuesday, things are going to start to heat up. We have Mars and Mercury pretty much throughout the week in this dance with one another, trying to form a conjunction to one another. So really over the next couple of days, they'll be very close to each other in the skies. And Mercury is very fast moving. It rules our communication. It rules how we talk. It rules how we communicate. Mars is aggressive. It brings aggressive energy. It's fast. It's driven. So we could see our communications heating up over the next couple days. We could see our words becoming a little less patient, a little bit more aggressive over the next couple days. And we could see our communication become more direct and faster over the next couple days. Same goes for our thoughts. It could feel like you're having a lot of thoughts coming in, or really driven, motivated thoughts coming in over the next couple of days. So that could be kind of the positive of Mars forming this conjunction to Mercury. The negative is our words will be coming up a lot faster than we might expect them to, and we might say things more quickly than we want to. So be prepared for that energy the rest of the week. Mercury and Mars on, I believe, Wednesday. We can look here on our chart if we push forward a few more couple hours. So you can see here, right at the bottom right of the chart, if you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Tomorrow morning, okay, so it's still approaching, but look in the Scorpio house of the chart. These two planets are getting very close to one another, you can see. So that's that conjunction we're talking about. And by about 1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, they will be within 1 degree of each other. And so a conjunction is when we see a merging of these two energies. Again, these are fast-moving planets. They bring a lot of energy with them. And so we could be more energized this week and more driven and more motivated, but also we'll have to watch our words and we'll have to watch how quickly we're talking, thinking, acting, because these two planets are activating each other. At the same time, Mercury and Mars, we can move forward a little bit more. Once they both get to 7 degrees, they form a square with Saturn here. You can see that angle. And so that means Saturn is going to activate Mars and Mercury. It's going to show us, bring some tension where there might be any faults in our structures. It could really make us slow down, which could be a positive, right? Because Saturn is a slow and steady energy. Mars and Mercury are fast energy. So we could have these two energies saying, okay, I want to speed up, I want to go ahead. And then Saturn forming this square by Wednesday is like, okay, wait, here's why you need to slow down. Here's where you need to slow down. This could come in the form of a challenge or some tension. Saturn bringing us a boundary, bringing us a limit, saying, hey, slow down, you're going way too fast. Here's a challenge I'm putting in your path to make sure that you are on the right track and you're forming this steady foundation before you're acting too quickly. So that's the energy as we look ahead to the rest of the week. We have kind of some intense transits coming up that we'll talk about more in detail over the next couple days, but for now, for Monday, enjoy Moon Day, really truly ruled by the Capricorn Moon, as we really don't have any major planetary connections for Monday. We can just prepare under this Capricorn Moon for the intense energy ahead, for the activating energy ahead that could have us climbing towards our goals faster than we even expect, and also for Saturn's influence, reminding us where we need some limits, where we need some boundaries. So that's a look at the energy this week. Now let's pull a card for the week ahead, as we do at the end of all these live streams. So today, I'm going to pull from Gabby Bernstein's The Universe Has Your Back deck. I just felt like, the universe has your back is a really good way to look at not only today, but every day. But this Capricorn energy with the moon in Capricorn, the waxing crescent moon, will really make it feel like we have some support, right? We have a plan, and our plan can be our support. Even if we're not super in tune to our emotions right now, our rational mind can make us feel supported under this Capricorn waxing crescent moon, getting ready for not only the week ahead, but the month ahead. We have just a few days until the 11/11 portal, until the launch of The Spiritual Journalist, which is my new interview-based live stream and podcast that will be debuting at 11:11 a.m. this Thursday, right here, wherever you're watching. So make sure you tune in. We have an amazing guest, and I'll be announcing who it is either later today or tomorrow over on my Instagram page. So you can follow at the.spiritual.journalist or at Olivia DeJaneiro over on Instagram. And if you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, you should be able to see my handle up at the top of the screen. Okay, so we shuffled up The Universe Has Your Back deck. And let's see what message the universe has for us on this Capricorn waxing crescent moon on a Monday. All right. Okay, this is a great card. These cards are great because it's just one simple message. So this one says, the presence of love will always cast out fear. Ooh, the presence of love will always cast out fear. I love these cards. The art is so beautiful and the messages are so powerful. You don't really even need a book that goes along with it to tell you what it means because it's just so simple. The presence of love will always cast out fear. How does this relate to today's transits? Well, let's break it down. So we talked about the moon forming this square to Chiron this morning, happening right now, which could be bringing up a lot of fears, a lot of past trauma, a lot of wounds that hurt you deeply whenever it was. And that can bring up a lot of fear. Chiron can bring up our fears, our limiting beliefs. The moon forming a square to it can bring up these challenges as well. So the universe wants us to know that A, it has our back with the universe has your back deck, but the presence of love will always cast out fear. So if challenges are arising today, if you are feeling those past fears coming up, lean into love. Lean into something that makes you feel loved, lean into a loving presence, lean into somebody you love, and that can help set you back on the right track, remind you of your purpose, remind you of the direction you're heading, remind you of the goals you want to achieve with this Capricorn moon. And yeah, I think that this is just a great card for the week ahead too. The presence of love will always cast out fear. That is our message for Monday, for Moon Day. I hope you enjoy this Capricorn moon. I hope it's activating your chart in a beautiful way. I know it's activating your chart in a way that will lead you to your highest purpose. Karina says she has this deck too. I love this deck. I love all of Gabby Bernstein's decks, and I'm kind of like an addict when it comes to buying decks. I just keep buying more. But if you have recommendations for Oracle decks that you love, please comment on this video, even if you're not watching it live, because I would love to collect more decks so we can use the wisdom from different authors, from different creators as we pull cards every day on these live streams. Regina says, love conquers all. So true. So if you are having a challenge, remember that love conquers all. Love can cast away fear. It can conquer that fear if we just lean into that loving energy and that loving presence. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's transits, this live stream on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Thank you for joining me on Instagram as well. We'll be right back here around 7:30 tomorrow morning, talking about that activating energy that's coming with the Mercury-Mars conjunction, forming a square to Saturn. You'll want to tune in while we break down the transit so you can be fully prepared for whatever challenges or obstacles or opportunities come your way. Until then, stay curious, and I will see you tomorrow. Time is over. All right, the live stream just ended on all of our other platforms, but if you missed it, you can go to